Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to our next painting webinar. Today is Friday, June 4th. Oh, Jesus. So we're super excited. Thanks for joining us. So let's get started by actually, I'm going to show the image um, that I'm going to use. I think that's going to be important. Just because again, every time that I prep for these things, I just find that it's not that easy. So I had to remove pillows, add pillows, do it from the left, do it from the right. And so, yeah, it's just not easy. But really quickly, this is my couch. Our house, it's like a petite Versailles. So it's not big, but this is what it is. And I decided to just, the camera was doing really weird things. So the background, the light from the window was making everything dark. Or if I just changed the light on the couch, the window was completely white. So I decided to go for the first one. Meaning like the light in the room, it's super dark. And when I printed this image, it was even darker. But I was inspired by the Ethel Sands painting of the couch. It's such a beautiful painting. And by the way, let me just show it like really quickly. So that's what I did. This is the full painting, and I just wanted to sort of like go there, something that's dark. I love this like crack of light and the lilies on the side. But there's something about the penumbra that I really, really liked. And the colors kind of like match the colors of our house. So that's what I decided to do. So this is essentially, we'll see what's going to happen. But so let's just go right ahead. Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy June. Happy Gemini season.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's right. Happy Mercury retrograde. I don't know if that's happy or what, but
Sure.
all right. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start sketching. By the way, using 12 by 16 cotton paper oriented sideways or landscape orientation. And the shape is rectangular. So those three components or things are important in deciding. Some of the images that you guys picked are vertical orientations, no squares, but yeah, since we've done like square format before, I think I did the earring with square, that's right. So I think that is important. And I'm just gonna, for this, I don't know if I'm gonna use, maybe I will. There's gonna be a little bit of distortion, and I'm just gonna need uh, this yardstick. Just wanna find out the height. As we talked about during the presentation, compositionally, it's very important where you locate or you place your couch. So take your time with this with this part of the painting, the arranging. Literally, I love this because it's a piece of furniture, and we usually sometimes we bring up the analogy of the space, the pictorial space, or the format being an empty room, and then placing elements as if we were rearranging furniture. Well, literally, that's what we're going to do right now. Some of the paintings that we showed as examples, the couch occupied like a lot of the space. Some of them, they occupied just a little bit of it. So think creatively. If you have an image, that's fine. But I feel like it's going to be important to have or create or make creative decisions there, because if you just have the photograph and you want to represent everything, that's just going to give you one kind of painting. But just get inspired by some of the examples that we brought. Some of them had no distinction between floor and wall. Some of them had no accessories. And some of them had everything. So, you know, uh, I think I'm just going to make, I'm going to make a few decisions here. So in regards to focal points, it's advised by purist painters that you don't exceed 3 focal points, just because otherwise there may be a conflict of interest on which focal point really reigns in your composition. So keep it simple. Identify your focal points. If you have more than 3, try to group them together. So clearly the focal point of this painting will be the couch. So that's easy for me. That's what I'm deciding right now. And what I'm doing is I'm gonna actually, I don't know, because this is like a little bit shorter. So I think I'm gonna make my life a little bit easier, and I'm actually going to measure the actual couch. So that's about 11 inches. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna put here approximately 11 inches. Okay, so that's good. So I'm gonna do my little scaffolding. So this is what I did. I just created a visual scaffolding that comprise, or it's gonna comprise or contain the potato shape of the couch. Why am I doing this? Just because I wanna make sure that I have control over where the couch is going to be. A painting that has a little bit more thought in arranging elements, it's going to be stronger than something that's gonna look like it hasn't been thought of. As a matter of fact, maybe this could be. I'm going to take a little bit of time, Jen. I'm going to bring up the images that you took when yesterday you went to the Getty Museum and you showed us the show that they have about how artists have been also collectors, because that was like really fascinating and very interesting. So let me see if I can just pull it and then show it, because there's something to be learned there that's gonna get, I have it. So I this is such an interesting show, and it's essentially bringing examples. There's one particular example that it's really interesting, and it just could illustrate perfectly what we are about to do. So this is a drawing by Rembrandt, correct, Jen?
Yes.
And this drawing by Rembrandt was collected by another artist.
Yes.
And the other artist not only collected it, but used it as a subject or as an image reference for their own representation or recreation.
Right. Like before we had photography.
Right. I think that's the introduction. So look at this, right? I mean, that's the sort of a context.
Exactly. Yep. He was, I don't know if he was a student of Rembrandt's or just a collector of Rembrandt's, or just somehow came upon owning this particular sketch. But yeah, so he took this sketch and then made his own from it.
All right. Fantastic. I want to go see the show because that premise is just incredible, because everyone talks about collecting and creating as two completely different fields, but I just love this context of modern collection, I guess, branching off from this, this like Renaissance painters.
I was just floored by it. Yeah, totally.
Amazing. All right, well, this is a Rembrandt, so let's kind of like chill our expectations, because Rembrandt is Rembrandt. It's a naked lady. Listen, so those dudes like to paint naked ladies. I don't know. And then she's squeezing her breast. I mean, this is a really provocative and I don't know. It's like, talk about like study of figure. Exquisite line quality, value-wise, it's amazing. Fine, but the most important thing is look at the composition, and in particular, look at the movement. Compositional movement is how much space you leave around the focal point, so the eye wanders and helps to frame the focal point, helps to breathe. It helps to sort of like create the perfect staging for the focal point. So Look at the left and the right. It's the form. It's perfect. The focal point is perfectly balanced in a very incredible axis trickery, because the axis of the figure is sort of like right here, but then the figure is holding some cloth. But Rembrandt, being Rembrandt, left enough space so the figure is a little bit towards the left, and there's enough space for the fabric to cascade without creating anything that seems uncontrolled. Same thing with the top and the bottom. And I mean, this is as purest as you can get in regards of exhibit A of a wonderful, perfectly balanced compositional movement. Now we're going to show you the recreation of the artist who collected this. Let me see if I can do that, because you'll see the think composition, compositional movement. All right, so this artist I mean, he did his best. I'm assuming it's a man. He did his best to recreate Rembrandt's. I mean, there's no question that he didn't get there just because the quality of the line is the same everywhere. But compositional movement, this is completely off frame. I mean, let's start with the top and the bottom. Obviously, you know, there's an imbalance there. So this is really important to understand the concept of compositional movement in relationship to the format. Rembrandt, non-Rembrandt, completely off frame.
I love that, Julio.
It was so good to see this and, you know, to understand. It's the same, if he probably traced it, who knows? But, you know, compositionally, this is just like all over the place. So going back to our approach, compositionally, studying how we arrange things on the format, it's going to be much more important than whatever colors we choose or whatever decision we make in regards to value. So think about this. It's extremely important. Arrange your focal point. Think of a compositional movement. And that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm going to do my potato shape. So I'm just going to be a little bit careless. I'm assuming this is going to be in the middle, the split. So yeah, and I should say that Kiana and I love to go to flea markets and stuff. And this, it looks like, it may look like expensive, but this was so cheap, actually, this couch. We love to shop stuff like that. The other day, we went to we don't have any room in our house. We went to a place, and there was a chair, a swivel chair. Now, like, everything swivels these days. It was a swivel chair for $35, and I'm like, we need to get it. And but you know, we finally didn't do it. It's just like crazy. You can find I believe another couch that we have, we bought it out of the closet for $35. And yeah, so
Where is the swivel chair?
the swivel chair, it's in a place on Fairfax. I should have taken a picture. It's why it's fun. It's so amazing. You go to First Dibs and then you find these chairs that are like $4,000. And this is just like, you can find stuff. I love finding like little treasures like that, you know. But yeah, I'll just I forgot the name of the shop, but yeah, it's Fairfax. It's a Jewish Iranian woman. Forgot her name. It's in Little Ethiopia.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's a good one to go. But you know, I haven't hit the one that Sarah Jennings mentioned in Culver City, but that sounds pretty amazing too. So all right, so I'm just like doing some alignments, and possibly going like a little fast right here, but that's okay. Because I should have done the potato shape first and then the structural lines. And I just went ahead and did the structural lines. That's okay. So I'm just gonna continue with the potato shape. Perhaps I should just align this. Oh no, it's good. So, and here we go. Okay, so this will be, I just decided pillow wise, I decided to just keep one pillow. And then this is a tiny step that we bought for Ozzy when he was alive with us. He loved to be on the couch. So we had this little stool, little tiny stool. And we just left it there. So I just thought it would be interesting to counterbalance one pillow on the right with the little step on the left. And I think that's something I may add or may not add, we'll see. So I have the potato shape. Something about this subject, I feel like it's somewhat forgiving. There's a lot of perspective because we have the seats and we have the back seat. So there's going to be a few diagonals, and the challenge will be to create distinctions between the different angles of the surfaces. But at the same time, I just feel like this is not like the ear or like the figure. I see it, we haven't done interiors in a very long time, actually. So I'm really excited for this. But I feel like there's a level of forgiveness about proportions here. So I'm not gonna be too hard on myself. And yeah, I'm not gonna be too hard on myself. So this right here, okay, I need to just count. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna start shading also. I think that's gonna be important. So I feel like my second focal point as I'm doing this, it's gonna be the lighting. So a focal point doesn't necessarily have to be an object or a shape on our painting. I just purposely decided to keep the room dark and then just play with the light on the curtains because I thought it was like really beautiful. So I think that's something that I'm gonna try to carry all over. Keep it very mysterious or sort of like dark, not very saturated in my case. So I think that artistic or creative intention is gonna be in itself a focal point. Sometimes we feel like we're very descriptive. We have to be descriptive, especially with interiors. By the way, you know, I don't think he has, Jen, I'm just gonna, I think there's a Swedish painter. Oh my gosh, he created very quiet interiors. His last name is ridiculous, Schollenholen or something like that. But he's very famous for doing very quiet interiors. I think he was from Sweden or Finland. I don't know. we've shown images of him before, or images of his work.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can. I forgot it's really unpronounceable.
Do you have a time period? Julio?
I think it was turn of the century.
Which century? Oh.
The 19 to 20 or late 19th century, like late 1800s. Hoylian. Okay. Yeah, something Hoylian. It's a lot. It's like a few syllables, the last name. But it's all like quiet interiors. Very muted, very tonal, very hyper realistic, amazing doors, windows. We've shown some stuff by him.
I feel like I might have seen something yesterday of his.
So since the value or the light's going to be a focal point, yeah, I think that's working. I'm just gonna keep, or I'm just gonna use the side of the charcoal to create this this lighting. All right, so maybe I'll just I'll contemplate doing separation between, I think so, separation between floor and walls. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm gonna remove the scaffolding. And here I need to decide how many small focal points I'm gonna incorporate, because I don't wanna go overboard with the details. It's just, okay, I think that's good. Just make a lot of stops or pause, step back, think compositional movement. It's something that it seems like it's very easy to grasp as a premise, as a concept. But when we apply the concept to our own work, I feel like it's something that takes a very long time to actually become familiar with. Step back. I haven't done any contextual element, but what I'm looking right now is the focal point and the comparison of the focal point with the edges of our format. I know that I will never reach like the Rembrandt level, and that's okay. But at least incorporate it in your internal dialogue. You know, see if you want to do something balanced, or if you're cropping, because some of the images that you guys uploaded and shared with us, the couch is heavily cropped on one side. So see how that works, and see how much space you leave from the uncropped side to the nearest edge of the format. So there you go. All right, I think what I'm gonna do is the window. Okay, second focal point, I said the light, but I think it's just gonna be maybe the third one is the window. I'm gonna change my mind. So first focal point, it's the couch. Second focal point, I just love the window on the background. I think that's a better idea. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I am going to just frame that window. So I feel like that's going to be important. Yeah, more than the distinction between floor and wall. Okay, so at the same time, Jen, so I was kind of like checking the Wikipedia page for Ethel Sands, an American-born painter. And I think, you know, it's so sad that so many artists that we are discovering are not getting featured, or we're not seeing them. I don't know. But if you go to the Wikipedia article, you're going to see that she was very much involved with the high society of London. And Ethel Sands had a partner. I forgot her name. Nan was the nickname. They lived together. They met when they were students in an art school, and they just lived together for the rest of their lives. Um, and her partner, she had a lot of money also. And she was the one who bought a little palace, or a little a property in the UK that they both lived in. And most of the paintings that Ethel Sands did were of interiors of that little chateau. I think it's called Chateau something, even though it was in the UK. So I don't know if you can find the name of the chateau, and then perhaps, I don't know if the chateau exists today or not, but it would be really interesting to find out.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, so a really absolutely fabulous life. They just went between, they traveled between London and Paris, and then I think they went to the US once a year. His Ethel Sands' dad died of horse accident. I think he was riding his horse and I forgot the name of the park in front of Buckingham Palace, but at some point that was allowed. I think it's still allowed. I don't know, maybe not. You could ride a horse there. So he just went for a stroll and then he just, he died. He fell and died. Um, and I feel after her mom died, Ethelson's mom, she inherited a bunch of money from the family. So they had this amazingly lavished life. It's just super glamorous. And the article kind of like describes her life. The article also describes how art critics at the time, they didn't consider her important enough, and female painters at the time, I think it was like the 1920s, I believe, something like that. The critics, the maximum compliment that you would get as a female painter would be that your work is very unique or something of the like, but never the same treatment as your male counterparts. The Tate has a lot of her paintings. Oops, sorry. And again, we didn't know. It was really nice that we studied one of her works in one of the as inspiration for one of the series. But now we know who she is. And next time we come across something like that or an interior, we're just gonna check her work. I love the paintings, by the way. So there's another conundrum right here. So because I'm using a not very sophisticated smartphone, things have like different angles. So I'm gonna treat it as a photograph. Ever since we did that anti-portrait, the Gerhard Richter inspired painting, and we learned about how he actually gave a lot of importance to the photograph itself as a subject. I just feel like now I'm not gonna try to undistort the distortion of a photograph. I'm just gonna keep it the way it is because I feel like there's always this shame about using a photograph, and that's so silly. So I'm just gonna keep the angles, and she painted from life, by the way. Ethel Sands painted from life. Some art critics and art historians that take her work seriously, they believe she has a stylistic, she was stylistically influenced by Vuillard, the post-impressionist, I think post-impressionist French painter. And you could tell that her brushstroke and her color palette has a very Vuillard treatment. Okay. I love that the light also comes from underneath the couch, this backlight. It's really interesting. So I think time-wise, okay, that's good. Half an hour for the sketch is not bad. So I'm just gonna shade. I think for me, it's important to shade this more than any other painting, just because, as I said, one of the focal points will be the light for me. So shading this, absolutely, I think that's great. Shading this will give me an opportunity to understand the organization of the lights, the highlights and the shadows. But yeah, I'm so excited. We haven't done an interior, and I love architecture and interiors. So this is so great. We also talked about how funny that we've done during the past 15 months when we were in lockdown and everything, we painted different corners of our house, but we never got to the couch. And it just seems ridiculous because it's such an important piece and it represents so much. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to almost like close the chapter of this historic lockdown with a piece of furniture that represents so many wonderful things. I think it represents wonderful things. Obviously, it just uh, different experiences, I guess, with that. Okay, so I think that's okay. There's a lot of darkness on this side. That's gonna give me some high contrast. And I'm happy about the compositional elements. I'm gonna stop right here before I continue with the wash. I love the wrinkles on the curtains, so that I think that's gonna be a nice detail that I wanna add. And I'm not gonna put anything else. I'm not gonna put anything else as detail. I think I just wanna keep it nice and clean and focus on the couch. Every decision you make is important at this stage. I would say my advice: don't limit yourself to just be literal. And making an artistic decision doesn't mean to make a change. It means to try to list the things that you like about the image and then find your own criteria to prioritize that list. In other words, making a creative decision doesn't mean like, the couch is jade green, I'm gonna paint it orange instead. That's not a creative decision. It's, in my opinion, it's more like a contrarian decision that may have like some artistic components, but it just feels contrarian for the sake of it. So, that, of course, I'm generalizing because there's nothing contrarian about making a decision, but I'm trying to just give a better understanding of what it means to make a creative decision and not be completely literal. So, and in this case, it means for me editing out elements that I feel would create tension and would compete with the focal point. And also, it means to understand where the focal points are going to be, which are those focal points to begin with. Clearly, the most important for me on this assignment or collection or series is the couch. I think that's something that I'm excited about, to just do the piece of furniture. We've always talked about how amazing it is to paint an empty chair in a room, and how the empty chair, it's almost like a confrontation with the viewer. It's creating a portrait by omission. An empty chair could be an inviting element that pulls us in. It could be a reason to meditate, that our subconscious picks up and then creates a thought. But it also, again, it just could be the idea that someone may have been there, or it's going to sit there. So an empty seat, I should say, has always been something that made us reflect. So the idea of doing a couch and no one sitting on it, and by all means, if you have images of couches with figures, don't feel like, that's not going to be correct. But to me, it almost takes a human quality, the fact that it's the focal point, the fact that no one's sitting there. I'm not going to say it's we're anthropomorphing it, because obviously it has like different qualities, but I'm sure there is a very fancy word for saying that it has some human qualities. There's something that makes it feel like it's a dormant being in our home. It's not just an inanimate object. So I feel like I'm trying to make decisions creatively, but also conceptually. So very important that this is the focal point. Then the window, it's just going to be the second focal point, just because I feel like the light source in this particular assignment is important. And the third focal point for me, it's the shaded element, the penumbra, the quality of light in the room. So there you go. I am happy and Just gonna go ahead and start with the wash. I'm using two liquids, the citrus solvent, which is working great, but it smells very strongly. So some people have ordered it, and I just need to open the window a little bit because it smells like really strong, but we're happy about the change. And oh my gosh, I should change the palette. All right, so you know what? I'm just gonna take 5 minutes. I don't care. I didn't change the palette. I didn't have time. Should I? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I like to change the palette every time I change the painting, just because it just gives me a little bit more of the color history. It's not gonna take me that long. And I don't change the liquids at all. I love that the liquids are completely dirty, and they already help me to create very desaturated things. So is it a chateau, Jen, or is it like something else?
Yes. So a lot of what I'm finding is that Ethel Sands did the interior of the chateau, like all the different rooms. So I some of those paintings, but then her partner, Nan, known as like Anna, I think Hudson. Yeah, Anna Hope Hudson. The her partner that she met in art school, that she owned, I believe, owned the chateau with, painted an exterior of it in
Oh,
1927. So you get to see a little bit of that, and then I'll search for the building itself.
oh my gosh.
But the Tate has it right now.
Okay.
And then what else did I find? Oh, she was part of the Bloomsbury group.
No.
No, Ethel Sands was.
Was she friends with Vanessa Bell? I'm pretty
She
sure.
was friends with Vanessa, Virginia Woolf. Let me bring it back.
Duncan Grant, perhaps?
Yes.
Oh my
favorite.
gosh.
I know, obsessed. Okay. She was one of the artists that founded the London group.
With that, but... Okay.
Okay, it says, according to Kate Deepwell, her works and those of Vanessa Bell and other women were evaluated differently at that time from those made by men. The best critique of a woman's work at the time would be that they had individuality, but they would not have been considered innovative, modern works like those made by men.
Wow. This uppity, sorry, British art critics. Seriously.
So it says, although a major art patron, she is most remembered as a hostess for the cultural elite, including Henry James, Virginia Woolf, Roger Fry, and Augustus John.
Wow. Oh, and I think John Singer Sargent, a fellow American, was the one that encouraged her to go to art school, or something about him being one of the inspiration, right?
Yep, it says, encouraged by artist John Singer Sargent, Sands studied painting in Paris at the Académie Carrier under Eugene Carrier for several years, beginning in 1894. There she met fellow student Nan Hudson, born Anna Hope Hudson in the United States, who became her life partner. During this time, Sands became the guardian of her two younger brothers following her mother's death in 1896.
Fascinating. I think it's just incredible. I wonder that academy, because I've never heard that. I mean, we know the Julian Academy and the Carmen Academy, I believe, but
right.
I'm not familiar with that academy. Is there a link that says who ran the academy or something?
It just says the name of the guy, Eugene Carrier. And let's look up him. He is a French symbolist artist of the fin de siècle period. Oh, his work is beautiful. His paintings are best known for their brown monochrome palette. He was a close friend of the sculptor
Whoa, wait a second.
Perhaps you've heard of him.
You need to put some examples.
I will.
Okay, sorry, continue.
Yeah. He was a close friend of the sculptor Rodin, and his work influenced, wait for it, Picasso.
Oh.
Some see traces of Carrier's monochrome style in Picasso's blue period.
Okay.
His work is beautiful. Oh my gosh, you're gonna flip out. Okay, I just got chills. You guys. Okay, I'm gonna paste them all. Holy moly. I don't even understand. This is like looking at Kate Winslet's work on Wikipedia.
What?
If Kate Winslet were an artist, this is what her work would look like.
Oh my gosh.
Artist, and then we just hang up our paintbrush and say, okay.
All right, just go. So what was the thing?
What was the thing? Wait, what do you mean?
No, I mean, you said like something that we would flip out.
Oh, just his work is so beautiful.
Oh, okay. The director of the academy.
Yeah, Eugene.
Oh my gosh.
It's so beautiful.
All right, so
as much of it as I can.
The Bloomsbury group, there were a bunch of like very gender fluid people. There were the hippies of the time in the UK, I guess, or the rich hippies, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And then John Singer Sargent was gay, and so I feel like there's a lot of like sort of like fluidity here with sexual practices, I guess. So can you find out the director of this academy?
Mm-hmm.
Was he gay also? It just like seems like, I don't know. I'm curious.
Great question. I'm looking to see if he's listed in the membership of.
Okay. And by the way, you guys, I'm just gonna decide that for the wash, I'm gonna use the same color, and I'm gonna use a combination of chromatic black and ochre, because it just gives me a little bit of a muddy green almost. Okay, never mind. Go, Jen.
Oh, no. I have nothing.
Yeah. There was a lot of openness, I would say, during that time in certain circles, especially very affluent circles. I mean, there was openness, but there was also, it was very hard for people with different sexual sensibilities, let's put it this way, to navigate. This was the time when Oscar Wilde, got arrested and all that stuff. So I wonder how much that had of an impact with all this freedom and openness that a certain class of people enjoyed at the time. Because obviously, if Ethel Sands and her partner hosted people, I mean, everyone pretty much would be accepting and knew about them. And I don't know, this is something that always fascinates me, the socio-economical level of some people and how they had more of a freedom to be themselves. And, at a time when this was illegal in the UK.
Right.
Whereas other people may just, I mean, it's the same story with today's things, whoever has the money, can skip the law. But I just find it that at the time, this creative crowd, they had the freedom to do all this, in Paris and London. So interesting.
There is mention of his wife in the Wikipedia article.
Okay.
But
yeah. It's true. That's relative, but no, I'm just like curious because, Paris, specifically Paris, was a refuge for a lot of intellectuals from America also. A lot of people that they felt they were going to be persecuted or whatever, they just ended up in Paris. I mean, until it was not only the turn of the century, but even James Baldwin had some escapes there. I don't know. It's like a really interesting.
So he studied at Beaux Arts in Paris.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it says, during the Franco-Prussian War, he passed some time as a prisoner in Dresden, where the arts of Rubens made a lasting impression on him, as may be seen in the glowing colors of his early paintings.
Amazing.
In 1890, he adopted the gray, misty color scheme with contrast of light and shadow, characteristic of his art, but which no other artist has been able to imitate without.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Interesting.
Yes, as most of his work is at Musée d'Orsay.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of this artist.
Yeah, I haven't either. His work is so beautiful. I'll post a bunch of it, and then I'll also post.
Any famous painters that came out of this academy? Because with the Academy Carmen, they list some of the pupils that became well known at the time. So I wonder if they have a list of alumni that were more successful. Because the idea of the academies at the time was really interesting. I think the L'École des Beaux-Arts already accepted women as students, but the reason why these academies existed is because most artists, they couldn't access art school.
Right.
So this is the third one that I'm learning about, that I had no idea about. And mostly very wealthy American women would just go there. So I wonder if they have a list of famous pupils.
Okay. Not that I've.
Okay. Okay.
Not yet.
Can you also find out if this two female artists were friends with James Whistler? Just feels like, they kind of like they're pretty sure they were contemporaries, Ethel Sands and Nan. Mm-hmm. If they were, because he was so important at the time, and with the Academy Carmen, I'm pretty sure that maybe they had some sort of like relationship, perhaps. Maybe they were enemies, frenemies, who knows? Because Whistler was a little bit weird. Okay.
Hudson group.
Say that again?
Was James Whistler part of the Hudson River group?
James Whistler?
Yeah.
I don't think so. No, he was like the most famous tonalist. But I think, I'm not sure. I don't think so. He was on his own. He just made everyone upset. But maybe he was. I think that was a little bit earlier. The Hudson River.
Yeah.
Was like earlier. So I'm just continuing with the wash, and I'm adding a little bit of that blue with the yellow ochre for the curtains. But remember, wash equals color fields. So really loosely applying the paint, so it's not even contained. I'm deciding, because of the focal point being the shade, I'm deciding to just do one color, some variations, but one color. Sorry, Jen. Yeah.
No, no, no. Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, so I haven't read it yet, but there is a letter from Walter Sickert to Ethel Sands, and um, the letter concerns Walter Sickert's move to Whistler's former studio on Fitzroy Street. um, who knows how juicy and great it is? It could
Right.
be like a piece of her writing. um, but it's an acquisition presented to the Tate archive by Colonel Christopher Sands, which I imagine is a descendant, obviously. But I don't know. It doesn't really say what
Okay.
it
No, no,
says.
no. Yeah, that's thanks for checking. Yeah, I was kind of
It's
like
all
wondering.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I was wondering. I was wondering.
Let's see. All right. So Bloomsbury Group. I'm putting in the notes.
Maybe she did go. Maybe they did go to that farm where they all hang out and had sex with each other and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I hope so.
Oh man.
Man, if you're a part of that group and you didn't get to go there, that just seems unfair.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm still trying to find also the you said the Swedish artist
Oh yeah, Schollenholen
interiors.
or something like that. Schollenhoel, something with lots of syllables and
Have
yeah.
any of his work at the Getty?
I'm
Is that
sorry?
like have you seen any of his work at the
No, I have not.
Okay. Because I feel like I saw something.
I don't know if they have or not, but I just don't recall, seeing at all any of those. All right, so I'm just kind of continuing with the wash color fields, and I'm guiding the wash with the amount of charcoal and sort of like setting up a very thin layer over the paper that is more focused on value than anything else, shape or definition or stuff like that. And I think I'm okay with that, with this much definition. The curtain being the second focal point, I think that's going to be really important on this painting. And the curtains themselves, that's fine. They don't have to stand out too much. I have to be careful because if I make too much detail here, they're going to come forward too much and they're going to swallow the couch. So that's something that I have to take into account. So I need to make sure that this is the star of this painting. And then the second star is the window. And the third one is going to be the palette. All right, so I'm done with the wash, the staining, the wash, the imprimatura. Yeah, so that the imprimatura is what I just did, right? Yes, I think so. I just already forgot. Anyhow, so yeah, I'm just gonna move to the first notes. First notes being related to color blocking. I'm just having like so much fun with first notes these days, and we always put the emphasis on second notes, saying this is when we actually start the painting. The formal painting process starts, and we just talk about how important that is, how much time it takes, and all that stuff. But with first notes, I just realized that it's a much more important step or stage than I thought of before. First notes, color blocking, but it's not just the color blocking. It's the things that happen with the first notes that really become so fundamental. study the color, and then develop the drawing a little bit more, because with the staining or the wash, a lot of things get diluted. But I realized that during first notes is when I actually start processing my raw materials and finding color formulas. And at the same time, I just bring a little bit of more of the definition of the different parts, different components, different shapes composing the painting. So it's not just color blocking and that's it. We're not just painting things and mindlessly. So I finally got some clean cellophane. That was embarrassing. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna spend some time because I love the fact that this is neutral, but it has a cast, and I'm intrigued about how to get there, because this feels like a burnt room and I don't want it to feel like it's burned. There's certainly color here, so I'm just gonna study this and find out what it looks like. And so yeah, I'm just gonna put a piece, let's say, in something that feels like medium. Actually, what I'll do is I'm just gonna do this area right here, the wall. I'm switching brushes, so medium brush and getting a couple of old hairy guys because I'll need them. And yeah. Also, Jen, if you can find, it'd be interesting, if there's any Ethel Sand's biography. Two things that I usually look when I check out a new artist. If there's any recent publication or any biography, that's a good way to just learn more about their life. That it's more it expands whatever Wikipedia says, if they even exist as an article on Wikipedia. And then, especially with the Tate catalogs of past exhibitions, because sometimes the images are very limited online. They don't just publish everything there is. So, and when that happens, sometimes I'm lucky and I feel I found like an old edition of a biography that's really cheap. With catalogs, it's a little bit of a different story, because catalogs are limited edition publications that art catalogs or exhibition catalogs, they are very sought after. They could be extremely expensive if they're very rare. In fact, I will say this. I remember in the Tate Modern in London, there is a very tiny shop 1 block away. It's not like really right next to it, but it's 1 block away. And the guy in there, really strange guy, it's a bookstore, but he only sells exhibition catalogs. That's all he has. So that's all he collects and that's all he sells.
Amazing.
And he must make a lot of money because that it's a very exclusive neighborhood now. And he has bins of things for cheap, and then he has things that are hundreds of pounds. So if you go to an exhibition and you see the catalog, if you like the exhibition, I know they just jack up the price and they make it really expensive, because usually it's like $60. But from the value point of view, it's a very good investment, because in a relatively short period of time, that catalog will triple and quadruple its price. So make it a habit. It's just really unfortunate that, we have to pay for the entrance, which is $25, and then the catalog, it's not like a regular book. It's very expensive, 60, 65. But I make it a habit for 2 reasons, because I know it's a very valuable element, and also because I know that the images in the catalog will not be online. Anyhow, so Yeah, let us know, Jen. And then I'm just gonna bring some other colors. I think I'm gonna need some greens.
Wait, so Julio, you're asking me to see if I can find an Ethel Sands catalog?
If there is a catalog published by the Tate, for example, like if there has been any retrospective of her
Okay.
work, and also if there's a biography ever written of her or not, because you know, with artists that are not mainstream, sometimes there's no biography, and I wonder if the Tate, since they have so much of her work, if they've never done a retrospective of her work, shame on them, especially because they have her work. So it would be like really terrible. Um, anyhow, so that's generally my routine when I find an artist and I really want to know more. That's what I do. Okay, I'm gonna try something different here because I feel like, you know, I have to get like a sagey jade green. For some reason, I don't want to use any green. So I'm just gonna use yellow ochre and phthalo blue. Oh, it's like jackpot of the century, I believe. Um, I think so. So no yellow. Okay. So first I'm just gonna do this. And then maybe some, no, I don't think so. So I'm just gonna do this. Okay, this is just terrible. But I'm gonna bring some chromatic black. Just wanna experiment with new colors because using the green, I think that's good. Okay, I think I got it. Yep, I'm just getting really close. I'm getting really close. So to make a green, I used a neutral yellow ochre. It's the best neutral yellow. And then I used a blue, but I thought, you know, I need a different blue. I need a kind of like a warm blue. Yeah, I really like it. I really, really like it. And I need to pull the pigmentation. So I'm gonna bring some umber, raw umber. I think that's good. I think that's good. We're so happy with the chromatic black, this transparent black. It's such a great color to create shades. All right, so that's perfect. I'm gonna need to pull back the pigmentation a lot more. Brilliant and super happy, and that's gonna be the combination of colors: yellow ochre, phthalo blue, and chromatic black. That is it. So this is why I love, or I consider first notes such an important stage. It may not be a very long stage compared to other stages like second notes, but it really serves as an opportunity to study the color. Okay, here we go. So I don't have to go to do this again, but I know that I got a formula. I can process the paint right now. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do first notes on the couch first. And I'm gonna go darker to lighter. I think that's always a good idea. So I'll just start doing this. And okay, so I'm just gonna do this. And then I'm gonna do darker to lighter. I think that's a great color. So I'm super happy. So color blocking right now, I'm just color blocking. I'm using, I'm not using any, by the way, as a medium, I have stand oil. I've been using stand oil, which is linseed oil that's been processed in a way. I thought it was, I thought stand oil was oil that was left outside in the sun, but no, that's like sun-dried, oh my gosh, my brain, linseed oil. Stand oil is linseed oil that has been boiled, I believe. Something crazy. Yeah, I'm just gonna block this all out. And then I need to do the shape also. So this is when I studied the color. I'm happy with what I got. But now what I'm doing is also reshaping areas. So with first notes, essentially, that's what I do. Study the color, and then with a little bit more, it's gorgeous. With a little bit more opacity, I start reshaping. So I try to break the habit to color between the lines, essentially, or within the lines. That's something that we acquire when we're young artists, and our brain just locks it in one part of the brain, and that's what we do. We just paint within the lines, and we may be like whatever age and travel the world and study everything, and we still paint within the lines. So anyhow, so Jen, I have another thing if you want to research, because it's a study that's gonna be very provocative. It's a study about intelligence. I mean, that alone tells you, and how it manifests physically in our bodies. So
Lordy.
yeah, it's a little bit controversial, but I liked it because it has to do with the eyesight. And so there's this lab, or this place that found a relationship between the size of our pupils and the level of intelligence. And I say the level of intelligence in a very general way, but they just set up a series of metrics that is very interesting. So apparently, the larger the pupil, the more our thought process or complex critical thinking, yeah, it's more developed. The smaller the pupil, the less involved our brain is in critical thinking. And apparently it has to do with the fact that when we are more involved with critical thinking, we have um, a higher sense of being focused visually on something. So it has to do with how we exercise observational skills, I guess. And also it's a part of our brain that also gets activated. So the only reason why I mentioned this, because it could be complete garbage. But I mentioned this because it made me think about if painting could be a way of exercising that specific part of the brain, just because we are involved in pure observational exercise. That doesn't, it's not in the article, but I just thought it would be interesting to find out. So apparently the differences are so big that they're even noticeable by the naked eye of a person who is not trained to find differences. So it's not a matter of like something so tiny that it only is recognizable medically if you actually measure it with tools. No, it's appreciated by the naked eye. They do bring some examples of people with dementia and Alzheimer that have their pupil reduced dramatically. So again, it's a connection with apparently one part of the brain and the size of the pupil. I don't know. Sorry, I just brought it up because I think I saved it, but it's very interesting. All right, so any biographies or catalogs by the Tate?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Hold on, Julio. There's so much going on.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Go. You do your thing. Yeah.
No. It's okay. I'm just like
I'm bombarding
hold
you.
on. Size of pupil. Wait, let me before I go back to Ethel. Hold on. Size of pupil and
Intelligence.
thinking. Okay, and intelligence.
Yeah.
Let me just put that in my
Okay. Yeah.
search, and then I will go back
Okay.
to
All right. Sorry. Yeah. No.
Ethel. No. It's okay. It's totally fine.
I
I'm just
mean, it's. I mean, I think the page where I read it, it's quite reputable, and I wonder if there are more than one. But imagine if this is actually something that actually there is a connection, and imagine if actually creating or painting or something like that could affect intelligence. I mean, this is the kind of thing that one of the reasons why there should be more art in schools. Damn it, that's what I'm going to.
yeah. Yeah, okay, so it's the larger the pupils, the higher the intelligence, as measured by tests of reasoning, attention, and memory. Oh Lord, memory. My pupils are probably heads of pins. um, okay, it says we first uncovered the surprising relationship while studying differences in the amount of mental effort people use to complete memory tasks. Oh, lordy. When we discovered a relationship between baseline pupil size and intelligence, we weren't sure if it was real or what it meant. So it looks like they did a lot of different trackers. It tells you what kind of the pupil is. Um, okay. Okay. This is interesting. As one example of an attention control test, participants had to resist glancing toward a bold, flickering asterisk on one side of a computer screen and instead rapidly look in the opposite direction to identify a letter. The letter would disappear within moments, so even a brief eye movement toward the flickering asterisk would result in missing it. Humans are primed to react to objects passing through their peripheral vision. It once allowed us to spot a predator or prey, but this task required participants to redirect their focus from the flickering asterisk to the letter. Okay, blah, blah, blah. What does it all mean? Okay, but why does pupil size correlate with intelligence? um, Okay, you know what's funny? Okay, so as I was reading this, I was like, what about people with like ADHD and that sort of thing? So then it talks about that.
Oh yeah.
So it says we have to understand what's going on in the brain, and the pupil size is related to the activity in the locus coeruleus, a nucleus situated in the upper brain stem with far-reaching neural connections to the rest of the brain. Okay, so dysfunction of the locus coeruleus and the resulting breakdown of organized brain activity has been related to several conditions, including Alzheimer's disease and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Wow.
In fact, this organization of activity is so important that the brain devotes most of its energy to maintain it, even when we are not doing anything at all, such as when we stare at a blank computer screen for minutes on end. Okay, it says okay, this is how it ends. One hypothesis is that people who have larger pupils at rest have greater regulation of activity by the locus coeruleus, which benefits cognitive performance and resting state brain function. Additional research is needed to explore this possibility and determine why larger pupils are associated with higher fluid intelligence and attention control. But it's clear there is more happening than meets the eye.
Wow. I just find this fascinating, and I would love to, I mean, I don't know if there should be some research about creating creativity and engaging in observational processes and effect of this particular part of the brain, and how, because this is like very controversial, your the study essentially involves a physical feature with a mental capability, and that is just like, you know, it is controversial in itself. But I don't know, I just saw it and I thought it was actually interesting. Thanks, Jen, for finding it. Yeah. um,
See
so
if I can find a better one that goes into more. It's. Do you think that we saw the same one, Leo?
this
Or
seems like the same the same article, but I don't know,
yeah.
sometimes they're like different. Sometimes the publication, it's a publication based on a different article. Maybe that the actual study is somewhere, because these are usually studies that get picked up by websites and then they just publish it. But yeah, maybe there's the actual study somewhere. Um, but anyhow, so while you do that, I'm just continuing to sort of like do the color blocking, the first notes, and I'm focused on the actual couch, and I'm doing like darker to lighter, and I'm trying to keep this color palette that I processed by using phthalo and ochre and also chromatic black. So I'm just doing darker, medium, and now I'm just adding some lighter notes. So I'm not strictly sticking to dark. Well, no, I am sticking to darker to lighter because this is much lighter. I'm bringing ecru. And what I'm doing is covering areas, but at the same time, I'm studying the shape. I'm starting to bring like some elements. So also realizing that the darker to lighter really works well because it's easier to apply lighter over dark on oil, as we all know. So I'm just gonna, this is more green. So I'm just gonna create a color that has more yellow ochre and then do the pillow. So pillows or couches or anything that's filled in with foam, um, just be aware, maybe I'm not there yet, but be aware that if we make very regular, remember when we did the pillow, our own pillow, our bed pillow, um, we had to make sure that the line quality was very organic and had like a lot of rhythm, because otherwise we'll make very regular lines and it'll look almost like inflated. So the gravity and the weight on a pillow has to show. So sometimes exaggerating it, it's not a bad idea. So make sure that nothing feels extremely regular, because otherwise it'll feel almost oversimplified, illustration-like, and not really capturing the gravity and the pull, the weight, and also the imprint, the footprint of whatever weight was either on top or things like that. So I think that's really important to observe. Again, just practice observational skills by honing in on the idea that that pillow, it's not just a perfect pillow cast with marble. It's just a piece of fabric that has something inside. It's soft and it just sits on the couch, and it creates a little bit of a weight. There are irregularities on the edges and on the value that make it look like, you know, the surface is not completely regular. I'm not going to study the color of the pillow. I'm just, now that I have like the main reference, I'm just going to do a darker chromatic black. It's such a great color, such a great paint. Because I could do darker, desaturating. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Darker to lighter. That's the key. Find areas with high contrast. Sometimes we not only paint within the lines, but we forget that those high contrast areas with shapes that are outside of what we're painting, really define the shape, and also, yeah, create a really good optical illusion. So yeah, find those high contrast areas. They're not part of the shape that we're painting, but they define it. And with pillows or with armrests or with crevices or with wrinkles, those high contrast areas will be very helpful to identify. Also, line quality. Just when you paint a line, make sure that you fluctuate the weight of the bristles against the paper with some irregularity. Because sometimes what we do is, okay, there's a dark wrinkle and we make a line and we put certain pressure and then we create an even trace, an even line, when in fact it's not as clear. So practicing the weight that you put against the paper with your brush and creating variations, it'll just give you a much richer and interesting. Here we go. So yeah. All right. So, ooh, I like it. Yeah, I mean the color, I'm not super thrilled because I feel like this phthalo blue is just too colorful, but it's a first note, so I'm not gonna panic at all. I'm not gonna panic, and I'm just going to, actually, I'm just gonna do the area of the tuft thingies, because I feel like that's really cool.
Julio, do you happen to remember the artist that you're talking about, the Swedish artist you're talking about, when we referenced him? Like what
When we did the windows.
The windows. Okay, great.
When we did the windows, I think I brought some examples.
Okay, cool. That
yeah.
will help. Okay, be right back.
Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna continue. I think in regards to first notes, I'm happy with this. I'm just gonna bring some stand oil. Actually, I have the book right here. I was looking for one of the anatomy books that I have as a reference, and I couldn't find it. And then as I was looking at it, I just got a long time ago, I never mentioned this, the Artist's Handbook. It's an old edition. It's not very new. And it's a book that synthesizes or tries to squeeze in like practical information about process or technique or so if you want to get it, just get it secondhand. Don't buy it new. But essentially, it just talks about materials, drawing, painting, printmaking, and it's kind of like describes the materials. And so I actually like it because it just divides the painting mediums. It groups together pigments, most general pigments with great interesting features, I guess. So on the vegetable oils, I just want to find it. Oils, resins. Let me see if I find the stand oil, because there was a great definition of the stand oil. I think it was the boiled oils or blown. That's it, the blown oils. So it's not the stand oil. It's not sun bleach or sun thickened. Yeah. because this was an interesting conversation because a while ago, when people use actual linseed oil, like cooking linseed oil, I guess, they just didn't do it like straight up, use the oil and then paint with that. They process the oil. And yeah, I'll find it. Solvents, waxes, and grounds. So oil paints. Linseed oil. I don't want to spend too much time, but I will find it. Yeah, it doesn't say how to do it, but yeah, linseed oil. And stand oil, which is linseed oil. Stand oil is somewhat slower drying than sun thickened or sun bleached oil, but it's recommended for its non-yellowing characteristics and the fact that it retains a certain flexibility on aging. Anyhow, I've been using like stand oil because it's thicker and yeah, it works. All right, so I'm just gonna first notes right here. I have half an hour. Let me just focus on strategy. I feel I wanna stick with first notes until the end of the session. So I'm not gonna add second notes. And perhaps what I should do, gosh, I feel like I'm just gonna use the one of the old hairy guys. And I'm just gonna use raw umber and chromatic black because I feel like I want to build some darkness on the background, but without any of the sagey color. So that would be the strategy. I think that's working. Yeah. So raw umber and chromatic black. Every color that I add, it's processed. You know, I don't just put like raw umber right away just because I think it's dark, because I know that it needs to get processed. Okay, I think that's good. And then let me just find out. I'm gonna mix zinc white in it. Remember, zinc white is a transparent white, and I think that is just absolutely fantastic. So I just love this session so much already because I'm creating a palette of color that I'm really excited about. This has no blue whatsoever. I'm not using titanium, I'm using zinc. And the zinc just gives me a lighter version of the chromatic black. It still has a little bit of color, but it's not taking away from the actual color of the couch. So yay to zinc white. Just because it's the wall, I'm gonna make sure that this doesn't show strokiness. Sometimes we talk about how it's not just about color matching, but also the texture that you apply. And contrasting smoother texture against something strokey could be a good idea to bring distinction without resourcing to actual color. Sometimes what we do is we change the color radically, and then that's why we create contrast. Okay, I think that's okay. I'm just gonna do the other side with this formula. I haven't even tested it with a cellophane sheet, but I really like it. So maybe more of the, it's a little bit lighter here. I'm adding a little bit more of the transparent white, the zinc white. I've been thinking how to reduce the amount of colors that we have on the palette without sacrificing the capabilities. And I'm not sure, you know, maybe we shouldn't have gray, because I feel like gray could be done with black and the white. I don't know. I have to think about it. I think it could be a good exercise to just see how to simplify the palette. But then, you know, zinc white, it's such a great white to have. Because you could argue, why have two whites, titanium and zinc? Well, this is why. Yeah, I like this. I like this. Okay, so I think at the same time, I'm gonna try to do first notes on the ground, and I love the warmth of the hardwood floor. I think for this, I need to check out. So I'm gonna do some color study. Again, I'm gonna do first notes for the entirety of the session. So I'm gonna bring some yellow ochre with burnt sienna because I love the warmth, and see what happens. It's very colorful, some chromatic black, and see if that does it. It needs more redness, so more burnt sienna. I think that's okay. I'm just gonna keep it, it's even a little redder. So more burnt sienna. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep it like this. And, this allowed me to, absolutely, I think that's great. To build or to study the color. Yeah, definitely. I would have never been able to do this color without the study. You know, it's amazing because my brain may sometimes find something by chance or just exercising the experience. But yeah, just like practicing, mixing, comparing, it just gives me better results. Because I can, what I did, test it first and see if that's a good value, temperature. I'm gonna bring the lighter notes here. Again, the light is gonna be the second or the third focal point. I said the window is gonna be the second. So I'm doing the light underneath. Again, I probably should do the darker ones, but I love the high contrast areas. Again, identify your high contrast areas. It has nothing to do with color, nothing to do with color, and everything to do with value. And if you want to do the test, just take a black and white version or make it black and white, do a duplicate of your file, make it black and white, and find out where are the areas with higher um, contrast. That's the best way, oops, to go about this. This is a lot of color. I'm not sure I like it that much, but I'm just gonna go for it. Let me bring some gray. Gray is a good companion to have to desaturate the color. The issue here is that if I make it way too saturated, it's just gonna take protagonism. And that's gonna put me in a different path. I said that I wanna make sure that the couch is the subject, but bringing a saturated color somewhere around, it's gonna take away from that. And I don't have to feel like I failed if something like that happens, because I can always rationalize it. But I like to be aware, absolutely. I like to be aware of what direction I'm going to take if I just bring higher pigmentation in an area that at the very beginning I didn't consider a focal point. But oh well, you know, that's a beautiful color, I'm adding it. I lose control. It's so easy to lose control. And unfortunately, I think this is not about being super rigorous or OCD. It's about keeping the integrity of your strategy. Because if you had this idea at the beginning, this is the focal point, I'm going to go for more detail, but then things are going to change and vary. And new chapters are going to open up. But if I just bring like an area, for example, of high pigmentation, and then I said, oh, well, this color is really taken away, it's okay, I'm just going to continue. You're not being or keeping the integrity of your premise. It's going to be a different painting. Perhaps that's going to be okay, but the problem for me is that if that happens too many times on my trajectory towards a completed painting, it's just going to drive me nuts, because emotionally, I'll feel that I had a premise at the beginning, then I changed because something, happened. Then I add something, and it's going to be a completely different 180 direction. So I'm going to be exhausted emotionally, thinking that I had this idea at the beginning, and I'm going somewhere I don't even know where I'm going. So keep the integrity of your premise, and your painting will be much more streamlined, successful, and the experience of it much more rewarding. Is it easy? No. But that doesn't make it not worth of doing. All right, what am I doing with this little stool right here? Because there's nothing here. And how about the rug? Okay, I want to bring some color to the rug. I want to bring some alizarin crimson, but I'm a little scared. So let's just bring some Indian red. Perfect. Indian red. It's kind of like earthy, really earthy, rusty red. And chromatic black. Okay, how about that? Oh my gosh, we're using chromatic black.
I think I found it.
Yay!
And I saw one of these at the Getty, I think, yesterday.
Wow.
Oh, maybe not. I don't know. It all looks the same at this point.
Okay.
I think this person's name. It's a Danish painter.
Oh, Danish.
Helm Hammershoy.
Hammershoy.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
Thank the Lord. It is at the Getty. I did see it. I looked at it for so long and I was like, this looks so familiar. Yay. Okay.
Oh, Jen, I'm so jealous right now.
I am sweating.
Okay.
This is in a tiny room when you first go to the Impressionist area. It's in a tiny room off to the right. And you guys are going to laugh. But as I walked out of that room where this painting was, Mary Hart passed me. Julio, do you know who Mary Hart is?
No, it's an actress.
She's like a host. She did Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah.
For 50 years or something.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a legend. And she, you're going to laugh, is a huge, huge Dodgers fan. And so when she passed me, I was like, wait, was that her? Or am I just so absorbed with Dodgers stuff that I am inventing this? And so anyway, we passed each other and I was like, I really think that's her. So then she came into like one of the big rooms where the irises are and everything. And sure enough, it was her. And so you're going to laugh, but I'm such an idiot when it comes to celebrities, but she turned around and I feigned shock that it was her. And I said, and then I said, go Dodgers. And she looked at me and she goes, go Dodgers. And then we had like a 5-minute conversation.
What?
But she's like one of those iconic Dodgers fans that she has season tickets behind home plate. You see her with her beautiful blonde hair in her full-on Dodgers garb every game. And it was thrilling.
Okay. Wow. I love that now you can associate this Hammershoy with her.
I never forget.
Okay, please upload the Hammershoy on the couch.
You got it. Okay.
Wow.
Thanks for indulging me.
No, 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 that's hilarious, and thanks for sharing. Oh my gosh. Um, okay, so yeah, I was happy to mix the Indian red with the chromatic black, and it did create sort of like a. I think there's too much color still, but I'm not unhappy. I think it's a good distinction. So maybe I'll just desaturate a little bit more. But it's taking shape. I love the fact that this is kind of like bookended. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep it right now because it feels like the couch is sitting on this on a line. I'm not sure. Um, we'll see. We'll see. But this is the conundrum about making things look like the photograph, when in fact they may not make sense when we see them on a painting. And just gonna keep it for now. I'm gonna keep it for now because I feel like I need to do the stool, and perhaps that with the stool, it's just gonna bring a different take. Let's just do the little step. It's not a stool, it's a step, right? That's right, it's a step. So chromatic black, I'm enjoying this so much, this darker value. I think we need to do more of this. So that's the step. And I'm just gonna do chromatic black and um, ecru because I feel like the step on top. I'm not sure if that's a good color. Is it a good color? It's not a good color, but I'm just gonna add it right here. Oops, that's not good. So let me just see if I can turn it on. Okay, here we go. So I probably need to practice this color because it's not really, I'm not really happy. Oh, well, maybe this is a little bit better. So I'm just gonna keep it neutral for now. I'm not sure, but it's okay. For now, I'm not gonna think about it too much. I know that this is a little bit lower, so I'm just gonna bring this down a tad. Also, I'm trying to practice non-conforming lines because I feel like with longer lines we have a tendency of like making this long of a stroke, and then things get too regular, too predictable. I think I mentioned this a few times. The opposite of beautiful is not ugly, because ugly has a lot of power. The opposite of beautiful is predictable. So yeah, making conforming lines just make it perhaps a little bit too predictable. So I'm just going back here. Yeah, I'm so happy. This is going well. So with the old hairy brush, I am going to blend. Perhaps I shouldn't do this because that's part of like second notes, but I feel like the strokiness of the floor needs to be softened. So what I'm doing is that I'm just cleaning the old brush, no paint whatsoever, drying it, and then I'm just going to buff and blur that area. And I have to constantly clean it. But yeah, that's the beauty of oil right now, because it's still wet. I can do this. So I think, ooh, yeah, I think that is helping me to just soften, create perspective because of the sheen. Um, yeah, it's gonna change a lot, but at least I just have more of the idea of floor. I need to be careful because I'm putting a lot of attention on this floor. And I said that it's going to be the couch that's going to be the focal point. So I'm not sure, I'm not sure, but that's okay. I think that's okay. I shouldn't be too worried. Um, but yeah, I think that is wonderful. I love the painting's direction so much. Okay, I have time. I have 15 minutes, about 15 minutes. We're gonna paint until 5 minutes after the second hour. And I feel I need to tackle the windows here. There's two windows right here because I said that's going to be the second focal point. So right now I'm getting engaged with the floor and the rug and the step and all that stuff, and I forget to be true to my premise, my initial predicament um, of this painting. Second focal point, the curtain. So I feel like, and that, it makes sense to do it right now because going darker to lighter, it's a good idea. So let me just bring some white and gray, titanium white and gray, and see what happens here. I think that's pretty awesome, actually. It's a little bit bluish, and there's a little bit of a lavender tone here. Let me just see. Much better. Okay, so it's just gonna be white and gray with some lavender notes. So I'm gonna try to do darker to lighter. Let me see. So I'll just create this area, and I'm doing this with a separate, I wanna just show you the palette if I can. Let me see if I can. Oh, the arm just came off. Actually, that's a good idea. I'm gonna do that next time. But this is my palette. So I'm trying to keep colors separated. I did the rug. This is the color that I'm doing right now. These are the different shades of the color of the couch, lighter and darker. These are the color that I created for the background. This is the floor color. So it's a mess, but it's sort of like grouped together. And notice that it's important to keep the order from darker to lighter when you put the paint, because in a way, it just kind of like organizes the groupings from darker to lighter. Yes, I did darker right here, but the original color was this. But keep things separated, keep things organized. You can be a total mess on your palette, but have a certain structure. And definitely the color that I'm using, it's all process. I am not using any of this directly on the painting. Don't do that. Process, process. Let me see. I'm just gonna do this on a little bit like that. Yeah. All right. So I'm just gonna continue. I thought it was important to just show um, the. I'm using a little bit of stand oil just because I want to have a little bit more fluidity. And I'm happy that the different colors on the painting, they sort of like create a harmony of sorts. So it's not like all over the place. And I think I was going for that. Red here, blue here. And again, that was my take. I'm not saying that that's what makes a painting good or not. But I was going for something that had more of an atmosphere, that in which the light had more importance than the shapes. That's what I wanted to do. And the only reason I came up with this, it's because of Ethel Sand's. I would say this is one painting. If I had like my own museum, if I was the Eli Broad of a different dimension, I would pursue that painting and make sure that it would be part of my permanent collection. Um, just because I think it's just so and you know, those critics had no idea what they were talking about, obviously, because that's a pretty iconic painting in my book. In my book, um, I like to play maybe play with imagining a permanent collection. What would be part of my permanent collection? Which paintings I would put in my permanent collection? I love to play with that concept, and think, okay, well, I see this painting, this definitely would be it. And Ethel Sand's couch painting, I mean, clearly we've used it before. Um, I would have a couple of Hammershoys for sure, because he was amazing, and I can't
Some
wait to see
Eberkorn.
Iverson. Yes, yes. Um, one wing of the museum would be dedicated to Berthe Morisot. So that would be
Yes, 100%. She gets a whole wing.
yeah. But and then this new painter that I'm dying to see, you know, the one that paints with brown stuff. That seems
Yes.
pretty
Okay, let me post more of his stuff because so far I just have his self portrait
okay.
and I have the Wikipedia link on it, but let me find more of his.
Okay. Yeah. Because I think that would be interesting. Um, yeah, check out Ethel Sand's art on Google or any browser. Um, I think her work is absolutely incredible. If you ask me, I'm just oops, that's a lot of blue, so I'm just gonna take it back and then bring some of the oil or the medium and see if I can spread this. Because again, what am I doing? I'm looking at the high contrast area. High contrast area. Don't get limited by just painting within the lines and creating shape after shape after shape. Okay, I see this, I'm gonna paint it. I see this, I'm gonna paint it. Rather than just moving forward on a shape based manner, you can do that, but at the same time, after you've done that, find out where are the high contrast areas. That's the next level um, of applying work, brush work. You know, just finding those high contrast areas and treating them as um, single location spots. Let's put it this way: single location spots. They have components that belong to different shapes, but that's not the point. The point is that we want to just create a focal point by just painting that high contrast. I'm gonna bring now the old hairy guy because I need to have like a little bit more coverage on that, and perhaps I'll do something a little bit sheer, like more sheer or sheerer. Yeah. So gray, white, a little bit of blue, and a little bit of pink. Here we go. Oh yeah. Uh, these are first notes. If you ask me, this is all first notes. Yeah, I create some variations, but I'm just blocking out. I needed to have this blocked out. I'm excited and thrilled because I feel like sometimes with creativity and painting and process, we have this idea that it's we can't control anything. It's we have to sort of like grab the brush and then kind of like let it automatically kind of like paint and see what happens. Almost like automatic painting. There is some magic about that, but it's mostly a myth. No, we can control, or rather than control, guide ourselves through this process, through this journey, by coming up with some sort of strategy and keeping the integrity around it. At the same time, be flexible. Yes, we can just change things, change our mind. Of course, this is not just about, you know, making sure that we stick to one idea and there's no rigidity, but having a core premise and then building or changing based on that core, it will give you results. It will give you results. If you change too much, if you take too many 180s, that yeah, that's it, lost. All right, so I'm just kind of like doing some details on the curtain right now, but Yeah, these are the most high contrast. I'm gonna bring some more white right there. So again, instead of like painting shapes, I'm just gonna stick with, I clean the brush and I'm gonna stick with really high contrast areas, bringing some titanium white, pure titanium white against the dark side of the couch. Um, and right here too. I love this painting. So I'm so happy about this decisions. There's so much that I need to develop, obviously, and perhaps I'm gonna dedicate a few more minutes. I feel like these side curtains right now, they're sort of like on no man's land territory. So I think I need to bring a little bit of high contrast area between the actual fabric and then the sheer part of the curtain. So I'm just gonna go back to the original yellow ochre, phthalo blue, and chromatic black, because I feel like I need to build a little bit of, and some raw umber to pull it back, a little bit of definition here, and then stand oil to make sure that the light from the window really stands out. And maybe what I'll do only is to just block it out. Yeah, I think that's going to be so helpful. I'm being completely messy with the application. In fact, I'm running out of chromatic black. So I need to bring a little bit more chromatic black. And I need to make another mixture here. Phthalo blue, chromatic black, and yellow ochre. Okay, here we go. Yeah, very good. So let me see if I can bring, sorry. There's also this tied area right here. Stand oil, stand oil, stand oil, or any medium poppy seed and medium safflower, or linseed oil by itself, although it's very liquid. So just bringing this irregular cascading. Yeah, I think that's not, it's a little I find maybe it's a little cheesy the way I'm doing it right now. It's too predictable. So but it's okay. I just have like a few more minutes and I want to this down, so I'll feel like I've done my first notes. um this kind of like wrinkled stuff. Yeah, it's again, I'm not happy. This is a little cheese ball right here because it just stands out too much. I need to remove the contrast a lot more. But I needed to bring a little bit of development here. Yeah, I needed to bring a little bit of development. It's too light. It's definitely too light. But that's okay. That'll be my, yeah, that'll be my final application for this. Maybe I'll just, let me bring the old hairy guy and tone this down a lot more. And perhaps I need to match, I know what it is. You know, these colors are too, they're clashing. That's what it is. These colors clash. That's the problem. So I'm just gonna make a mental note, and for the second pass of this, I'll make sure that these colors are more harmonious, because right now they're just like too different. So I'm already bringing a little bit of similarity, because they need to be similar to the colors of the wall. And at the same time, I think it's a little better, but let me bring the color that I just created to the background. You know what? I'm just gonna stop here, but that's what's gonna already looks better by just messing this up, this high contrast. and also bringing the color outside. So this is an example of what I actually feel like needs to happen to make sure that this doesn't stand too much as a shape, and keep the couch as the main source. But I'm gonna keep it here. I'm gonna take a photo. I have learned a lot. I am thrilled that I use this sort of like toned down palette because it just allowed me to focus on light. I'm extremely happy about this painting. I love it. I think I'm excited to continue working on it and develop it more. I think it just has a really interesting interior space or illusion. Let's take a break, 1:15, 10 minutes. Let's just go over other paintings, your process, your stage, give feedback, exchange. But yeah, stretch, drink, use the restroom, take the photo, upload it, and have a snack. We'll see you at 1:15. And I'm gonna stop recording now.